A mysterious phone call. A 20-year-old female soldier begging to come home but unable to explain why. Just 1 week later, her body was dumped like trash behind a shopping center, her body covered with brutal marks of violence. For 34 years, the killer thought he had gotten away with it. But the truth is never completely buried. DNA doesn't lie. And genetic genealogy technology opened a new era of justice, forcing the killer, who had hidden in the shadows for more than 3 decades, to finally face the consequences of his horrific crime from years ago. Welcome to the Case Files, where we uncover the darkest crimes and the relentless pursuit of justice that follows. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the infamous case of the Fort Carson murder, the 34-year hunt for Darlene Krashoc's killer, one of the most shocking cases in Colorado Springs history, where a young female soldier was brutally murdered, and it took more than 3 decades and advances in modern DNA technology to bring the killer to light. Part 1. Background and main characters. Colorado Springs, Colorado, the military city. In the late 1980s, Colorado Springs wasn't just famous for its majestic mountain scenery, but was also home to one of the largest military bases in the United States, Fort Carson. Tens of thousands of military personnel and their families lived here, creating a community bound together by the spirit of serving the country. Darlene Krashoc, the soldier full of dreams. Darlene Krashoc was born on August 22, 1966, and grew up in West Virginia in a loving family. She had 2 older sisters, Rhonda and Lucy, and her parents were Paul and Betty Krashoc. From a young age, Darlene admired her father, a military veteran, and always dreamed of wearing the uniform to serve her country. In 1986, after graduating from high school, Darlene decided to join the United States Army. She was designated as an Army specialist and was assigned to Fort Carson, Colorado, serving in the 73rd Maintenance Company. Standing 5'1", tall and weighing just 119 pounds, Darlene was small but full of energy and beloved by her fellow soldiers. Darlene had been married to a soldier named Glenn, but the marriage fell apart. By March 1987, they were in the process of divorcing and were just weeks away from finalizing the paperwork. The mysterious phone call. About a week before she was murdered, Darlene called home to her mother, Betty Krashoc. Her voice worried and trembling, she asked, "Mom, would you mind if I came home?" This question shocked Betty because Darlene was an active duty soldier and wasn't allowed to leave the base without a legitimate reason. When Betty asked, "What's going on?" Darlene simply replied, "I can't say, Mom." This was completely unusual. Before this, Darlene had always shared everything with her mother, even the most private things that few children would dare tell their parents. But this time, she remained silent. No one knows what she saw, what she knew, or what she feared. Just 1 week after that call, Darlene Krashoc was brutally murdered. Part 2. The Fatal Night. March 16 to 17, 1987. A fun night turns to tragedy. On March 16, 1987, Colorado Springs was hit by a major snowstorm. Due to bad weather, all military personnel at Fort Carson were dismissed early. Darlene decided to take advantage of the free time to go out with her fellow soldiers. She went with 2 other soldiers from her unit, Eric Robinson and someone named Lot, to Shuffles Club, located at 1861 South Academy Boulevard. This was one of the popular entertainment spots for military personnel from the Fort Carson area at that time. At the nightclub, Darlene happily drank, danced, and chatted with friends. Witnesses said she was completely relaxed, showing no signs of being followed or harassed. Around midnight, Eric Robinson suggested the group leave early because they had formation the next morning. But Darlene refused, saying she wanted to stay and keep partying. A strange man in the club offered to take Darlene home. Eric seemed disappointed, but still respected her decision. He and Robinson left Shuffles, returning to the base around 1 a.m. The mystery man. To this day, no one knows exactly when Darlene left the nightclub. Some witnesses said she stayed until around 1 a.m. Others claimed she left close to closing time at 2 a.m. And the man who offered to take her home, someone who could be the killer or an important witness, was never identified in the initial investigation. Body discovery. At 5:30 a.m. on March 17, 1987, 2 Colorado Springs police officers on routine patrol in the South Academy Boulevard area stopped their vehicle in the parking lot behind the Korean Club restaurant, just a few miles from Shuffles Club. One of the 2 officers saw something that looked like a pile of fabric. As they approached, they were horrified to realize it was the body of a young woman lying on her back next to a dumpster. The horrific scene. The scene before the officers was one of the most terrible images they had witnessed in their careers. The victim was nearly naked, wearing only a watch and ring. Gray underwear had been pulled down to her ankles. Around her neck were 2 metal coat hangers tightly wrapped. The cause of death. Her body was covered with bruises, bite marks, scratches, signs of a brutal attack in blind rage. Forensic experts later determined this was a planned rape and murder. A key detail: there was no blood at the scene. This proved that Darlene was murdered elsewhere, and then the killer moved her body to the parking lot to dispose of it. Part 3. The investigation stalls. 1987-2004. Identifying the victim. Right next to the body, police found a Colorado driver's license with the victim's photo. The identity was confirmed. Army Specialist Darlene Krashoc, 20 years old, serving at Fort Carson. News of a female soldier's death spread quickly, causing deep shock in the Colorado Springs community, where tens of thousands of military personnel and their families were living. Family in grief. A military officer came to the Krashoc family home in West Virginia to deliver the terrible news. Betty Krashoc recalled, "An officer came and told me that Darlene was dead. I asked, 'You mean she was killed?' He just bowed his head and said, 'Yes.'" The Krashoc family flew to Colorado Springs to meet with investigators. A detective knelt down, held Betty's hand, and vowed, "We will find your daughter's killer." This promise motivated the investigative team to devote their full effort to the case for many decades to come. Evidence collected. Colorado Springs Police coordinated with the Army Criminal Investigation Command, CID, to conduct the crime scene examination. Evidence collected included the victim's clothing, 2 metal coat hangers used for strangulation, 3 fresh cigarette butts at the scene, traces of hay and mud on the body, didn't match the scene, proving the victim was killed elsewhere. A circular mark on the victim's back, as if pressed hard against a round object. Thanks to the snowfall that night, police determined when the body was left. Tire tracks in the snow showed the killer arrived after midnight, a few hours after the snow started falling, then hurriedly left. A nearby bar reported they closed at 2 a.m., and when employees left at 2:25 a.m., they hadn't seen the body. So police estimated the murder occurred between approximately 1 and 5:20 a.m. Autopsy results. The autopsy revealed cause of death: strangulation by 2 metal coat hangers. The victim was raped. The body had numerous bruises, bite marks, signs of fierce resistance at 5'1". Tall and 1 pounds, Darlene had no chance of fighting off a strong male attacker. Suspect. To 1. Fellow soldier. Eric Robinson. Since Darlene went out with fellow soldiers, police focused on questioning Eric Robinson and his companion. Eric said he had advised Darlene to leave early, but she refused. He returned to the base with Robinson around 1 a.m. The next morning at formation, Eric noticed Darlene was absent. Initially, he thought she overslept, but then he saw the horrific news on television. Police were suspicious because during a struggle, the killer might have been injured. When examining Robinson's body, They discovered scratches on his back. Robinson explained that the scratches were caused by a woman he knew at a bar, and he provided her name. Police decided to collect DNA samples, hair, bite marks, fingernails, and blood from the suspects. Both Eric and Robinson cooperated. The woman Robinson mentioned also confirmed his account. Both underwent polygraph tests and passed, proving they were telling the truth. Police were forced to expand the investigation. Suspect the Furtotu, ex-husband Glenn. Darlene and Glenn were in the process of divorcing, just weeks away from completion. A relative said Glenn still loved Darlene and was very jealous when he learned she had a new boyfriend. Moreover, if Darlene, a soldier, died, Glenn could receive substantial benefits from the military. This was a clear financial motive. Glenn was questioned. He insisted the relationship had ended peacefully. They were still friends, and he was happy with his new girlfriend. On the night of the murder, Glenn stayed home with his girlfriend and a few friends due to bad weather. These people all confirmed his account. Police examined Glenn's body, but found no signs of injury. Although not completely ruled out, police decided to shift the investigation. Suspect number 3, Barry, soldier with history of harassment. A military lawyer reported to police about a man named Barry, who had also served at Fort Carson and had a history of sexual harassment allegations. During a legal consultation, the lawyer noticed scratches on Barry's hands that looked like defensive wounds. Furthermore, Barry knew many details about the case that no one outside the investigators knew. Barry was summoned for questioning. He claimed all information came from newspapers. Police didn't believe him and searched his car, discovering coat hangers, sand, gravel, hay in the trunk, a round shoe polish box, matching the circular mark on the victim's back. Police believed they had found the killer. But Barry provided DNA and hair samples and passed the polygraph test. There was no direct evidence to charge him. Barry was eliminated from suspicion. Case at a standstill. Police conducted hundreds of interviews, followed dozens of suspects, but no one was charged. The case hit a complete dead end. Years passed. The Krashoc family could only hope for a miracle. Part 4. DNA Technology Opens New Hope, 2004-2019. 2004, reopening the case. In October 2003, with advances in DNA technology, Army CID decided to reopen the case. All evidence was sent to the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Laboratory, USACIL, in Georgia, for reanalysis using modern technology. Result: experts discovered an unidentified male DNA sample on multiple items, including clothing, coat hangers, and cigarette butts. However, when compared against the National CODIS database, there was no match. 2016. Phenotyping, drawing the killer's portrait from DNA. In 2016, Army CID forensic scientist Jessica Veltri decided to try a new technology: DNA phenotyping, a technique for predicting physical characteristics from DNA. Veltri sent 27 items to the military laboratory for reanalysis. In December 2016, CID partnered with Parabon Nanolabs, a company specializing in DNA phenotyping. Analysis results in January 2017 provided predictions about ancestral origins, eye color, hair color, skin color, freckles, facial structure of the suspect, but it still wasn't enough to identify a specific person. 2019, breakthrough from genetic genealogy technology. In 2019, a new technology emerged: forensic genetic genealogy, searching for relatives through DNA by comparing against public genealogy systems like GEDmatch and Ancestry.com. Police hired a private laboratory specializing in genetic genealogy. After 9 months of research, they received an email, found a relative of the suspect. Following the family tree, experts narrowed the list. Finally, only one name remained: Michael White. Michael White, killer hidden for 32 years. Michael White, 58 years old in 2019, was a retired military veteran with the rank of Sergeant First Class. He had served at Fort Carson in the 1980s, exactly when Darlene Krashoc was murdered. The shocking part: White had no criminal record, no history of violence. He lived a normal life in Colorado Springs for over 30 years, and no one suspected that this polite neighbor was a brutal murderer. Police were stunned. This was a rare case. Someone who appeared normal had committed such a horrific crime. The final evidence. Police secretly followed White, waiting for him to discard trash. One day, when White threw a cup into the trash at a fast food restaurant, police retrieved it and sent it for analysis. Result: DNA matched 100% with the sample from the crime scene. Arrest and trial. In July 2019, Michael White was arrested at his home. When handcuffed, his eyes clearly showed he knew this day would come. At the police station, White remained silent, only saying, "I didn't have relations with that girl." In 2021, White went to trial on charges of first-degree murder. When asked why his DNA appeared on the body, clothing, murder weapon, and cigarette butts, he couldn't provide an explanation. The verdict. On June 25, 2021, the jury found Michael White guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, eligible for clemency consideration after 40 years. Darlene's mother, Betty Krashoc, said, "When I heard the sentence, I had to cover my mouth to keep from screaming." Darlene's father, Paul Krashoc, spoke in court. "Michael didn't just kill my daughter. He killed the future of grandchildren who were never born." Sister Rhonda Lilly told Army Times, "I'm so happy they kept the DNA after all these years. The Colorado Springs Police and Army CID never forgot about my sister." The Darlene Krashoc case is proof of the power of modern technology in achieving justice, no matter how much time has passed. After 34 years, the Krashoc family finally got answers and peace. The case also revealed a frightening truth: criminals don't always look like criminals. Michael White lived like a normal person, and no one suspected he was the one who caused the haunting death of a young female soldier. Thanks to the persistence of investigators, especially specialist Jessica Veltri, along with advances in forensic genetic genealogy, justice was finally served. How many similar cases are still waiting to be solved? If you have any information about unsolved cases, please contact the authorities. Your small clue could bring justice to grieving families. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss other true crime cases. Because behind every crime is a truth waiting to be uncovered.